Hi, welcome to the channel. I'm Tim, this is the Restoration Couple, and it's finally time to get our teeth stuck back into the van project. Right, I'm struggling to remember where we are with the build. We've definitely got a bit more insulation to do. We've used the van a couple of times just for picking stuff up and as a second vehicle, but we haven't done any more work since the last video, so you've missed nothing. So what I really want to do is just get to the point where the insulation's finished and then we can panel everything out, and then we can get to the drawing board and actually plan out the layout. So the first job is going to be to clear out what we can, hook out these seats and at least move them to the back so we can insulate the side front panels. Now you'll notice that I've been hoarding big sheets of cardboard for the past couple of months. There's a reason for that. In one of the future videos we're going to do some CAD design, which is cardboard aided design, and we're going to basically build all of our units, the beds and everything really in cardboard, and we'll just tape it together just so we can get a feel for it, because SketchUp is fine, scribbling around on a bit of on a drawing pad is fine, but there's only one way to actually work and that is to either mock it up in some plywood or template material or cardboard. We got pretty close with the wiring last time, or at least for the lighting and the main bits, so we'll need to revisit that and just make sure that any final runs that we get those in. But like I said, for the time being, let's just shift everything to the back and we'll focus on the front for now. So there's no real time constraint on the van, which is why it's taken some time to do it, and we're taking our time on the videos. I'm definitely going to try and get it done by probably mid-spring so that it's ready and up and running for the summer, but we just didn't want to have that pressure of a deadline when we had so much else going on in the house. There's still some things we haven't quite decided on, such as the heating system. I'm thinking that we'll most likely go the route of having a diesel heater, which is plumbed into the actual tank, the actual fuel tank of the van. From what I've heard, they're the most sort of automated and hands-free type plug and play options once it's fitted. There are of course options like having a wood burner in here, but with the kids it's just going to be a nightmare. We also have used the van for a whole week with a wood burner. We just found it was too much heat. It's uncontrollable as well, so it might take one log to get the whole van up to 35 degrees, and then at that point you're just opening the windows and it's a bit odd. You've got to have a flue out the top, and to install one of those in a safe manner with all this going on and cladding, and I'd rather not go that route. So we can probably manage without. We're not going to be using this in the middle of winter. We can probably manage most of the time without a heater, with the four of us in here and cooking, and just the lifestyle of using the van. With the amount of insulation, the heating demand should be quite low, but we can retrofit a diesel heater if we want to. These have to be one of the best seats that money can buy for a van, and I'm definitely going to do a video all about those. I know I featured them on the install, but loads of people have been asking. A lot of people have gone ahead and actually bought them since watching the video, and they're just so versatile. Now we might be taking our time on this van, but there is a huge benefit to doing this in stages, and there's a couple of things I can suggest. Is once you've done your soundproofing right at the beginning, drive the van, drive it for a week, and you'll notice that whether that's helped or not, but you'll also start to pick up on other rattles. For instance, the back door was rattling. All it needed was just to tighten up one of the catches. That would have been really hard if I'd just gone ahead and insulated it. So there's a lot of people who convert these fans and just do a 1-2 week hit full on, but by doing this gradually we've picked up on so many little things. One of those is this sliding door, and although it's shut now, even when you're driving, the bottom catch I need to look at, because it really does rattle and it causes quite a lot of noise on a bumpy road where you can't really hear each other talking. So again, we would have struggled if we just banged in all our insulation. We would have really struggled to get to the parts. So take your time and you'll pick up on different things you need to improve on. So when we were working on the van a lot, so we had all the tools in here, I've emptied everything, so I've now got to go and find everything, and then we can make a start on the insulation again. So I think we got as far as here, so I'm just going to carry on insulating this section exactly the same as before. If you want to see how I did that, check out the other video I'll link to at the end of this one. But essentially we're just going for full fill insulation using the plastic wool, recycled wool insulation. That'll be topped by some of this Reflectix type bubble wrap. It's naff product really, but it's great as a vapor barrier. And once it's taped, you know, that's good. And then we'll be paneling over the top. So one thing that's changed a little bit since we started out is we're now going to have a 240 hookup point, just so we've got that option. The electronic system that we've bought allows for it, so we may as well put one in. So the best place for that is down here, I think just behind the driver's door, and then it will go up in this B pillar to the top where all of our controls will be. So I'm just going to thread, although we haven't got the kit to do it yet, I'm just going to thread the conduit pipe in there ready, so that we can just drop it up or down when we're ready. The other thing is, the reason why I'm putting it behind the driver's door is, although it's the closest point anyway, it's probably a good place to put it, because if you get in to drive away ever at a campsite or wherever, you're less likely to remember you're hooked up, and you're not going to end up dragging half of the campsite with you. Someone also messaged me to say that in here somewhere there is a hookup point for the back of the van, so that when the factory fitted connection point for rear speakers, rear lights, and I think a 40 amp fuse for inline fuse. So I assume they put that in on generically for all vans, because some will have crew cab, some will have seats in the back, some will be minibuses. So I'm going to try and dig that out first, just in case. Well, it might be there, it might be an urban myth, but we'll have a look. Not sure. If anyone's got any tips on that, let me know. There's definitely a load of gubbins in there. I'll give you a look. And it looks like there's a block connector there. Possibly might be the one. It might just be easier to run some speaker cable ourselves, but anyway. Let's put that back together before we forget how it went. Right, so I've run that down there. I'll tuck it in, and then in the next day or two we'll have a look at cutting that hole in there for that socket. So let's get on and do this section up here. For those people who keep commenting saying, why have I put tiny bits of insulation on the metalwork? This is not, it might look like this stuff, but this is actually a butyl sound deadening. You can hear that kind of deadens the panels. So that's all that's for. If you were using this stuff for insulation, although I don't suggest it, you do need a big air gap either side of it. So these might not be the most interesting videos to watch when it comes to van conversions, but I think it's the right way to do it. To spend the time getting this first fix, this first initial work done. Firstly, because it's going to improve the performance of the van much better than if we were to not insulate or do it afterwards. But it's just the right order to do it, because there's so many conversions out there, videos that I see, where the first thing they worry about is where they're going to put the kitchen and what tiles they're going to use, or you know, what way they're going to have the bed and stuff. And it just every van should go through this sort of procedure right at the beginning, and it might be the boring part and it might not look as fun, but in the long run it's well worth doing. And I think from the comments I've read on the previous videos of ours, I hope people kind of get that. There's even some, you know, even people like, I think Wrangler Star's doing a van at the moment, a little bit different, and he's spending big money on all the gear that he's putting in it. The first thing he did is jumped on the idea of how he's going to build a fancy aluminium floating bed at the back, where, you know, it might have made sense to get the whole thing lined and insulated first and wired. But hey, you know, I'm sure all these vans work out in the end, but you just wouldn't go building out your kitchen and a home until you'd finished the walls and insulated the walls and wired it in. So I'm not quite sure why vans are any different. Rant over. On the topic of rattles, these conduit hoses are probably quite prone to that, so I always make sure that when I'm insulating those, I'm putting it behind them and in front, so they're not going to kind of rattle against the skin of the van. Picked up more supplies, so a load more double-sided tape and the foil tape. Ended up getting the wide stuff again, but also got some of the narrower, and then just a little bit more spray adhesive. So I'm just doing the door panels now, and just making sure that anywhere where there are catches and wires, I've actually kind of stopped the insulation prior to those. The last thing I want to do is it jam up and stuff. Most of it's covered in kind of conduit or sheathing of some sort anyway, but I think I'd rather just keep it clear there. Still haven't quite decided how I'm going to panel the door, due to the way of the where the seals meet it. You can't, you know, panel or clad right to the edge, so we're going to have to stop it just inside where that the black rubber seal is. And then it's just a case of working out whether we just fill in the panel section where there's a kind of recess there, or whether we go up and finish it in a similar way to the rest of the van. Okay, that was a pretty productive afternoon, but I'm running out of light, running out of time, and I haven't got any more of the foil vapor barrier to finish. So we'll have to call it a day there. Nice thing is I've managed to get all of the soft insulation in place now, so it's only a case of putting over the foil and taping that in. I've also, whilst the camera ran out of battery, taken some 12mm PIR, the Celotex stuff, and I slid that down over the cab, and that's bonded to the roof. So although it's only 12mm, that's kind of the same as, you know, probably about twice as much of that in the soft insulation, and it just means I've got a little bit more storage space up there. But that's a fiddly area up there above the cab, so I want to make sure that that's done properly. I've insulated the back doors already, and I've made sure that there's so many mechanisms, the lock mechanisms there, that I've stayed well clear of all of those. And again, up the top here, I've still got to sort out a rear camera and some lighting, so I've left a little space there. Then once that's finished, then all of this, I'll probably foil in and tape like I've done up here. Also, although it's not really designed for it, this bubble stuff, using the contact spray adhesive, you can work it around those contours, and I've done the whole of this kind of bulkhead bit up here in that and followed it round. Now I think I will end up boxing this in wood anyway, but if you were going to go the carpet route, the kind of auto carpet route, then you can find a slightly better foil product for that. I can't remember the name of it, but it follows those contours and it's not a bubble version, it's solid. I promised you a van update, so there it is. It's kind of got things moving now, so next week I think I'll have a good crack at this. And one of the first jobs once the insulation's done is to get onto the lining. Lining is going to be a ply route again, but I think I'll go slightly thicker than the usual 6mm ply. It just, all the stuff I've seen in the stores is all a bit bendy and warped, so 9mm will do the job, and that'll give us a really strong wall to hang things on and just give it a nice flat finish. Not sure how we're going to do the walls yet, so that's something we'll need to decide before now and then. I also need to get on and order the lights for the ceiling. There's 3 of those dome downlighters to do. Nothing I have found online is suitable. They either look really tacky or they stand down too much, they're kind of too deep and you might hit your head. So I've managed to find a boat supplier, a marine supplier, who do a low profile one. Slightly more expensive, but they are they're made to order, so that might take a week or 2. Anyway, that's it. If you haven't checked out all the other van videos, I will put the playlist at the end of this one. There's loads that I've done, loads to come, so stick around for those. So thanks for watching. Remember, if you can, do it yourself, and we'll see you next time.